يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى سحيرا به لحادي لدفعي العنا عنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى وحسبك أني كلما عاد ذكراه تحرى كما قلبي به من هوى كلا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى وفاض نجيع الدمع من مغلتي دما أرادوا دونه وابلغ السحاب إذا شنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى فيا ليته يضفي لهيبا حشاشتي لصحبه لرؤيا المصطفى قلبه حنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى هوى غيرنا لبنا وقد كان شغلنا بحب رسول الله قل لي فما لبنا يهيجني مدح النبي إذا غنى.
To continue exploring and introducing the Sammaniya Sufi order with further details and discussion, following our presentation to its history, its concept and doctrine, passing through the speech and talk on its founder, al-Samman, his life and his writings, now it is a time knocking on the door to his basic teachings and philosophical, mystical thoughts and ideas. And in this concern, I would like to say, al-Samman's teachings were a product of a true, genuine, real and sincere, fruitful and tangible and tasteful experience that have led in the contributions of the evolution of the Islamic mysticism in the entire Islamic world. So al-Samman teachings were a product of a true and real, sincere, fruitful and at the same time tasteful mystical experience. This mystical experience, by the way, have led in the contribution and it has played a great and magnificent role in the evolution of the Islamic mysticism in the entire Islamic world since the early of the 19th century. These teachings still need further investigation and study by the researchers. So, to have more points and more ideas about al-Samman's intellectual formation and basic teachings, it has been stated that al-Samman's intellectual formation was influenced by Ibn Arabi, the Grand Sheikh. So al-Samman himself stated that my approach is that of Ibn Arabi and my tariqah is Qadri. This influence of Ibn Arabi on al-Samman's teaching could be attributed to the intellectual savia which prevailed in the 18th and early of 19th century Sufi orders. Birmingham says in such orders a complex relationship to the mystical and philosophical tradition of Ibn Arabi. Al-Samman was a product of the wave of a Sufi ulama compromise that prevailed in the early of 19th century Hijaz. He was described as a revivalist teacher who was contemporary with Abdullah al-Mahjub al-Mirqani, the father of Muhammad Usman al-Mirqani, the founder of the Khatmiya Sufi order in Sudan. Together, al-Mirqani and al-Sammans were considered as a part of the wider revivalist intellectual group that has greatly and magnificently have contributed in the development and the evolution of the Islamic mysticism in the entire Islamic world since the early of 19th century. And beside many other notions of his teachings, one of the major notions and concepts that has made up al-Samman's major teachings is the concept of the Muhammadan path. So before recognizing his views in this idea, let us first of all have notes about what is behind the Tariqa Muhammadiyya or the Muhammadan path. The Tariqa Muhammadiyya movement started in the mid-18th century, though it did not begin to use the term Tariqa until some 50 years later. It consisted of 4 very closely connected major turuq and was probably a movement only in the most general sense. The Idrisi tariqas proceeding from Ahmad ibn Idris in the 19th century were the last new instance of the movement, having been preceded by the Sammaniya, Tijaniya, and Muhammadiyya Naqshbandiyya tariqas. All of these tariqas incorporated in different degrees major elements of Ibn Idris' teachings is spiritual union with the Prophet, a preference for primary source over the mazahibs, and to some extent a preference for a single tariqa over multiple tariqa. These 3 elements were not exclusive to the Tariqa Muhammadiyya movement, but their combination is not found elsewhere. A further related characteristic is that these tariqas were all established on the direct instructions of the Prophet, or in one case of his grandson transmitted during a vision. The Tariqa Muhammadiyya is a reformist concept, and as such, it aims to return to the way of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and of his companions and their successors. Must feature of such a way therefore originate with the Prophet himself. There is no need to go into them in details. We will instead focus more on the more original or unique concepts found in the Tariqa Muhammadiyya movements that make them distinctive from other movements. Furthermore, the term Tariqa Muhammadiyya or the Muhammadan path has come to refer to a philosophy of tasawwuf, which focuses on the Prophet ﷺ as initiator of the Tariqa and ultimate means of the spiritual upbringing of the aspirant. The roots of the concepts are found throughout the span of space and time of the various spiritual paths and shapes. However, it is considered to have reached its apex in the 18th century with a wave of tariqas ascribed to this approach and understanding. Several tariqas are often highlighted as representatives of this approach, namely the Tijaniya, Sammaniya, the Idrisiya, and its various offshoots and branches of the Khalwatiyya. So for more information in this topic and in this area in particular, it is better referring back to the website lightoftheazhar.com, Ja'fari Tariqa. So this Tariqa, here the Muhammadan path has its own shared characteristics that has been mentioned by Dr. Wright Valentine in his study about the Tijaniya. So Dr. Wright highlighted basic elements that come as follows: emphasis on the Sunnah of the Prophet, leading to an objection to certain popular manifestations of Sufism and a de-emphasis of the Mazahib. The characteristic of the Muhammadan path, prominence of the idea of the Haqiqa Muhammadiyya, or the Muhammadan reality, in its historic conceptualization, leading to a form of spiritual concentration on the spirit of the Prophet and a de-emphasis of the role of the Sheikh in spiritual instruction. Number 3, of the characteristic of the Muhammadan path is stress on the transmission of knowledge through dreams and visions of past saints or prophets, particularly through the waking vision of the Prophet. A tendency to restrict the disciple adherence to one permanent tariqa is another characteristic of the Muhammadan path. And finally, the tasliyah, which is sending blessing and peace upon the Prophet ﷺ, and at the same time composing and performing praising poetry on his behalf on the Prophet ﷺ as primary means of spiritual elevation. So all of these 3 major elements derive from the 13th century, but were first combined in the 18th century. The idea of union with the Prophet originates with Muhyiddin ibn Arabi, the Grand Sheikh. The preference for primary sources over the mazhab or madhahibs can be found in Ibn Arabi's greatest critic, Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah, 1263 1328, and the idea of a single tariqa Muhammadiyya, called by that name, consisting in following the Sunnah of the Prophet, originates with Ahmad al-Wasiti, 1258 1311, a Sufi follower of Ibn Taymiyyah. The later combination of the idea of union with the Prophet with the idea of a single tariqa Muhammadiyya was probably the work of Abdul Ghani Nabulsi. So these ideas have been taken from Mark Sedgwick's Sons and Sons, the remaking of the Rashidi Ahmadi Sufi Order, 1799-2000, published in 2005. Following these short notes about Muhammadan path or the Muhammadan tariqa, now let us see al-Samman's views on the concept. The terminology Muhammadiyya is found in the title of 3 books of al-Samman's writings, namely مختصر الطريقة المحمدية and his book النفحات الإلهية في كيفية سلوك الطريقة المحمدية, and finally his book التوجهات الروحية للحضرة المحمدية. Al-Samman emphasized his tariqa objective as being the attainment of the tariqa Muhammadiyya by means of attachment to the Prophet, to be achieved through following the Quran and Sunnah with or without a mazhab, with a sheikh, or through love, contemplation and gnosis, istihdar or recalling of the vision and person of the Prophet, while continuously sending prayer and blessing on the Prophet, and finally istihdar of the Muhammadan reality. For more information on this issue, the researcher Dr. Amani Muhammad al-Ibaid has her study the doctrine of the Sammaniya Tariqa in 19th century Sudanese politics and publicities has discussed the issue in more further details. From another hand, and adding to the teachings of al-Samman, merely his views on the Tariqa Muhammadiyya or the Muhammadan path. Furthermore, this notion, here, the Muhammadan Tariqa could also be found in al-Samman's famous and unique prayer, the sacred center of existence, which he starts with اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد مبطة دائرة الوجود وحيطة مراقي الشهود ألف الذات الساري سيرها في ذكر كل ذرة. ح حياة العالم الذي منه مبدأه وإليه مغرة. ميم ملكك الذي لا يضاهى ودال ديوميتك التي لا تتناهى. So in this unique and wide thin blessing of a Samman, which is known as نقطة دائرة الوجود. For this, we will go further in our discussion to discuss this prayer on the time that we devoted to handle Ratib al-Samman. So Ratib al-Samman is another contribution of Muhammad al-Samman, the founder of the Sammaniya. So نقطة دائرة الوجود is part of the Sammani's litanies, mainly Ratib al-Sa'ada or Ratib al-Samman attributed to the founder. So we'll discuss this prayer when we come to have the time for discussing Ratib al-Samman. The Prophet as a light is another area that stands as a basic idea of a Samman's teachings. So the Prophet as a light here is a basic, as I have said, is a basic element and a basic notion that stand and represent Samman teachings. However, it is in fact a tradition among Sufis who believe in this theory to send their salutations to the Prophet in a language that reflects their belief in the reality of Muhammad. This is already reflected in al-Nafahat al-Ilahiyya of al-Samman himself, where al-Samman's salutation is composed in a language that indicates his convention. He employs several terms denoting the function of the logos of Muhammad as the locus or a spot of existence. In the introduction to An-Nafahat al-Ilahiyya, for example, he bestows numerous titles upon the Prophet. Peace be upon the servant of the essence, the messenger of the divine names and attributes, the first father, the real, the core essence, Ayn al-A'yan, and the Nafas al-Rahman, the breath of the merciful, whom God makes into light. Elsewhere in the same work, al-Samman expresses the same idea. The appearance of the real existence of God among human beings, مظهر عين وجود الله في العالمين, his luminous existence, ذاته النورية. All these phrases have been used by al-Samman, which in the final conclusion denote to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it has been used mainly in his treatise al-Nafahat al-Ilahiyya, النفحات الإلهية في سلوك طريق المحمدية. It appears that Samman was aware of earlier Sufis who wrote on the pre-existence of Muhammad and Muhammad as a light. Samman maintains that luminous light of God is only granted to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why only Muhammad deserve to be given the title light, a title that God never bestowed on other prophets. Even if the thousands of prophets and saints manifest themselves in various realities, so that one of them became the real light, the title of light can be nevertheless only be given to Muhammad, and all the attributes of light only given to him. Muhammad Nafis al-Binjari clarifies the reason behind why God gave the title Nur to Muhammad, despite the fact that it is a name of his essence. This is because the Prophet is nothing more than the Prophet is nothing other than him, God. The existential relationship between the Prophet and God is analogized with the relationship between the sunshine and the sun. The sunshine shows the existence of the sun, but it is not the sun itself. The absence of the sunshine shows that the sun does not exist. Thus, the sunshine itself is not the sun, but not something else. In the Awrad of the Sammaniya, mainly the Litany of Happiness by Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib al-Bashir, the murids of the Sammaniya, in the morning and evening, word they enchant, Muhammad is a human being, but not like humankind. He is a jewel, while the people are stones. محمد بشر لا كالبشر بل هو كالياقوت بين الحجر. Muhammad is a human being, but not like humankind. He is jewel, while people are as stones. محمد بشر لا كالبشر بل هو كالياقوت بين الحجر. Such was brief account about al-Samman notion on the idea of Muhammad as a light. Muhammad as light. So for further information, I suggest referring to the book entitled The Philosophical Thought of Muhammad al-Samman by Jalil Abdullah Saleh. Furthermore, the thesis of Abdul Muttalib also that already we have previously has been mentioned, the mystical teaching of al-Samman. Since we have previously presented and introduced al-Samman's views on the Muhammadan path, or what is called al-Tariqat al-Muhammadiyya, now we would like to see his views on the Muhammadan reality. So al-Samman says that the Muhammadan reality could be realized only three levels. So the realization to the Muhammadan reality, according to Muhammad al-Samman, could be done through a three level. The first level here is the physical level. The second one is a spiritual level, and the final one is a conceptual level. In every new and higher level, the appreciation is a more complete one and fine. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam appearance differs from one level to the other. His appearance on the earth differs from his appearance in the heaven, and his appearance in heaven differs from his appearance on the right side of the throne, and the latter differs from his appearance before Allah, where the concept of place and form have no existence. One aspect of the Muhammadan reality is that his light appreciation is turned into space, and this is his highest status before Allah. As-Samman's doctrine of Nur al-Muhammadi is very clear in his Salat المنحة المحمدية في الصلاة على خير البرية. So in this Salah, the idea and the notion of the Muhammadan reality based on al-Samman teaching is so very clear and explicit. Abdul Mahmoud Nur al-Taim, the influential Sammani Sufi scholar and guide in his explanation of al-Samman's doctrine concerning the Muhammadan reality, stated, his light is like the sun. However, the sun's light spreads only over parts of the earth, but his light, Muhammadan light, spreads over all the world at the same time. He explained further that the Prophet's light is like a mirror that reflects light all over the world. His that essence is reflected in it. Therefore, what is seen by various people at different places is the image of his that. Those who are preferred by Allah see his that directly. The Prophet's image appears in 248,000 forms. For al-Samman, the disciple who says prayer, that means who send and perform blessing and prayers upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even in presence continuously, while recalling his vision, will soon be very near to him. So al-Samman in his teaching, while we are presenting his views on the Muhammadan reality, stated that the disciple, the follower of the Tariq, who always sending his prayers and blessing upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam continuously, while he is recalling the vision of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, will soon be very near to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The levels of praying to the Prophet are praying with tongue, with heart, and with the spirit, and secretly. So according to Samman, the levels of praying and sending blessing upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has different levels. The first level of sending prayer upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is with the tongue, then with the heart, and with the spirit, and secretly. Those who bestows blessing on the Prophet will gain paradise, and those who bestows on him, that means sending prayer and blessing upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with heart, spirits, and secret, will gain the nearness to Allah. Therefore, the Sammaniya Tariqa from the outset has a dualism of orthodoxy and Sufism. This dualistic nature in the local Sudanese society shaped the development of the Sammaniya Tariqa in Sudan. These ideas have been taken from Amani Muhammad al-Ibad, the researcher in her study, the Sammaniya Sufi Order Doctrine 1997, and published thesis. As Samman says, the Muhammadan reality has an appearance that suits it in each world. So we have discussed this point previously, and I think that we would like to repeat it again in handling by another researcher. And by the way, the researcher here that we are going to quote him is the founder of al-Sammaniya Tariq in Sudan, Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib al-Bashir, mainly in his book كتاب الحكم المسمى بالنفس الرحماني الطور الإنساني. So this book also has been translated by Dr. Abdul Jalil Abdullah Saleh, and in this regard I would like to quote the idea of a Samman Muhammad al-like through the pen of Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib al-Bashir, who come to comment also to come to comment on the topic. Let us listen to him while he's saying, or let us come to read his ideas while he's commenting on the Muhammadan reality as the Sammani influential sheikh and guide. Ahmad al-Tayyib wrote, the Muhammadan reality has an appearance that suits it in each world. Nay, his appearance, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the physical world is like his appearance in the spirits, in the spirit's world. Nay, his appearance in the world of spirits like his appearance in the world of Satal, Alam al-Ma'na. For the world of Ma'na is gentle and wide. Nay, his appearance on earth like his appearance in the heaven. Nay, his appearance in the heaven is like his appearance on the right side of the throne. No, his appearance on the right side of the throne is like his appearance on the presence of Allah, for there is no where nor how. The more the status is so high, his appearance be perfect and complete of the previous one. And for each appearance is its majesty and reference that the place tends to accept. So the haiba and the majesty increase whenever the status increases in highest of its previous one, till it ends to a place where there is no one tolerates nor affords of the prophets. Of no one tolerate nor affords of the prophets, angels, and awliya. And this is the meaning of his saying, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I have a time with my Lord that no a sent messenger nor a close angel that suffices me. So for more information, further information on this topic, also I would like to suggest you referring to Ahmad al-Tayyib al-Bashir, Kitab al-Hikam, the book of aphorism, المسمى النفس الرحماني في الطور الإنساني, page 38-39.